you bend down low? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Don't wait up, I will not go slow. Not a copy, I'm original. Heavyweight champ, I can hold my own. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go.
This episode of A Conversation with John Conenna is sponsored by Generate. In today's digital age, staying ahead means harnessing the power of generative AI. Wondering how your small or medium-sized business can join this revolution? Look no further than Generate, your strategic partner for integrating cutting-edge generative AI solutions. We create personalized plans, adapting existing AI technologies to fit your specific business needs. Plus, our expert team provides essential training, empowering you to make the most of these innovative technologies. Interested in transforming your business with AI? Reach out to us at generateteam@gmail.com. That's generate, GENERAIT, team@gmail.com. And now, on with the episode.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of A Conversation with John Conenna. Tonight, for me, it is chapter 3 in tonight's, been a great night set up again by Michael Fiorante and Angela Widlacki. Tonight we have the coach of the Chicago Amputee soccer team. And of course, that would be Andrew Paine, who we're going to get into talking to Andrew, and Angela Widlacki, one of the founders, along with Michael Fiorante. Again, tonight, the guests on our panel. This is fantastic because, you know, I call myself the outsider looking in since last June. And can you believe we are at the year point of this, even though our first clinic, and you can all correct me if I was wrong, was in August, but it really does start in June. Getting this thing together with talks, as I was speaking to Andrew off camera. Again, good evening. Up top next to me is Andrew Paine, the coach, who we're going to talk to. Angela Widlacki on the bottom there, and with Michael Fiorante. I have to open it up, Michael and Angela, with a question that's going to be directed toward Andrew. You know, you have to find the right fit in anything you do in the life. When coaches were, you know, when this started, this whole thing, was Andrew Paine the guy you thought can take this to the next level? I'll start with you, Michael, tonight.
Well, I mean, Andrew was when Angela and I first met, you know, people at the American Amputee Soccer Association, we got put in touch with Andrew. Andrew was the guy that, you know, was initially trying to start something here in Chicago, and we were lucky enough to get in contact with him and meet him, and you know, from that moment on, whatever conversations we had, that's kind of how everything got started. The three of us kind of collaborated together, and you know, from there just got things started. And you know, we've learned a lot from Andrew in terms of you know, about the sport and about the American Amputee Soccer Association, and just stories in general of how to go about, you know, starting things. And we've all kind of, like I said, we've all kind of collaborated with each other in terms of a lot of things, whether it's coaching, whether it's, you know, how to communicate with different organizations, what have you. So yeah, I think we're all very lucky that we've been able to collaborate with each other and get this off the ground and get started.
Angela, I hope you can hear me again. I don't know if your mic is on or off, but how was it for you in this early collaboration, like Michael speaking, when it came with you and Andrew and the rest of us?
I mean, I feel like it was pretty seamless. Andrew is a phenomenal athlete and player. So to have him in our leadership group, to be able to show anybody else who comes in and wants to join our organization, show them the ropes and kind of show them how it's done. He's just been a phenomenal example, and our goal is to continue to develop the players around us and develop Andrew so that he can keep pushing he's represented our country already. So it would be great to get a full team around him so he can keep training and keep pushing his limits as well.
Andrew, I'll go to you now finally, even though we talked a little bit before. The background and how you got involved in this. I have to tell you, I went to that first session in August, and I was, when I was kind of nervous to go there because I was like, how is this going to work? How is this going to get off the ground? And I have to tell you, young man, being an ex-hockey coach, I saw like already how you had control and you knew what buttons to push. How does it start for you with the background in this, Andrew?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll just start by saying like this is truly a team effort between the three of us. Certainly it's nice to hear the nice things that Angela and Michael have said about me, but I throw that right back at them. That kind of from day one, it was kind of a perfect storm of coincidence where we all kind of came together at the right time. And it's certainly been super helpful having the two of them as well to kind of to organize this and split up the work and get involved. But for myself, it was I was in an accident in March of 2022 and lost my leg, and kind of once I got past the shock of a major change in my life, started looking for ways to get back involved, get back on my feet, so to speak, and get out there. And I didn't even know that amputee soccer was a thing, if I'm being honest, but I found it and reached out to the AASA and heard back from Eric, the president, who put me in touch with Nico, the team captain, and just started talking about it. And the timing was right. They've been trying to get something going in Chicago. It's a major market, but they didn't have anyone with boots on the ground, so to speak. And so they were like, hey, if this is something you're interested in pursuing and you wanted to give it a go, we'd love to work with you to try to get something started. And within a few weeks of that conversation, I think Angela and Michael had met some folks from the AASA out at a conference in California, if I have that right. We got put in touch and started talking, and kind of the rest is history. And we've just sort of trial by fire, right? We didn't really know exactly what we were doing when we started, but I think for different reasons, we all have passion around this particular project, which has helped us a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's there's certainly some bumps in the road, and some days you feel like you take a step forward and then a step backwards. But I think certainly really proud to see the last time we went out there, we get a bunch of new faces, and it just feels like we've got some nice momentum, which is very exciting. So it's been great, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Angela, I'll go back to you for a second. Since we've been on this a couple times before, of course, we're not having Andrew on here, and this was great to bring Andrew in like tonight because of the perspective that he's going to bring to this. But Angela, I got to ask you, since the winter months and now what I've heard what's been going on, I think it's been every other Friday. Did you ever think it was going to get to this level, Angela, yourself, from that day in August when we all were on that field?
Absolutely. I don't think it was just a matter of time and reaching the right people. I think there's still a lot more growth.
The strides have been huge. Yes.
Yeah. It was always our vision from the start, and the three of us, like, there was no way we weren't gonna make it happen.
Exactly. Michael, I mean, I know sometimes I'm in contact with you on and off this Zoom meeting and camera and this interviews. You've got to be tickled pink too to where it has gotten, and to see that, like Andrew's saying, the new faces that are coming in. When you see those new people, that's when you say, wow, it's like a new client in a business. You're like, oh my God, this got out there. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's the reason why we're all involved in this, is because we want to create a community for people that share the same passions as us, that want to come and they want to play. And whether that's at like a recreational level or whether that's at like a higher level, how Andrew's been competing, and he's represented our country overseas and that. And so that's kind of what we've strived for from the beginning, is just, I think the big thing is just building a community. And then from there, that's where you know, you build off that and you create a culture around that. Um and yeah, and that I think that all starts with, you know, uh the people at the foundation, you know, the three of us, we've kind of set the tone for how things go around in Chicago. And then a lot of people that have entered that, you know, they continue to contribute to that, and we build off of it, which has been great. And to see that continuously get bigger and bigger with, you know, I think it's, when I reflect, it's like, to think back, it's almost a year since our first clinic. Like, it's kind of crazy. I don't know, in the grand scheme of things, like, I don't know whether I think it's been going great. And yeah, it's awesome to see.
Andrew, this was your game. I mean, before this accident, correct? This was the game that you had the passion and the love for, correct?
Yeah, I've been playing soccer my whole life since I was a little kid, and played through high school and into college, and then continued to play, you know, a little bit, you know, through my 20s and early 30s. And then, you know, as kind of life and kids and work gets in the way, I kind of fell away from it. But yeah, I mean, this was kind of my first original love from a sports perspective. So, you know, when you have a life-changing event like I had, you
Yes.
work out, you know, what's the new path going to look like. So to be able to reconnect with a game I love and figure out that it's still something I can do, and that there's still opportunities to do it at a high level if that's something you're interested in. I think that was a huge motivating factor for me in my recovery, and continues to be. And so I think that's, for myself personally, something, you know, that I'm hoping that we can build in Chicago. Is that, for me, I was lucky. There's other regions throughout the country that have more established teams, and I was able to go and practice and get on the field with other amputees, and feel that sort of camaraderie, and that sort of what I would call, like, kind of my informal support group. And
Okay.
it helped me so much along the way that I'm hoping that we can recreate something like that in Chicago, so that eventually we get to a point, you know, where it's happening on its own, and that we've got an established team, and that there's other people out there who can find it, and just like me, who are looking for something to connect to, they can find it and come out and play.
I have to stay with you for a minute to ask you this question, because I saw it in that first August practice. Did you, were you already geared up to say, I could coach this level of the soccer where we at now? I mean, it's a different game, but I could coach this, because now we'll use this word tonight, patience. You knew there was going to be patience with this, but there was a passion. There's also another word there that day when I looked at those players. There's a passion, and you were pushing different buttons, knowing that, okay, this is what I have. This is what we're going to work on. And you made them believe. Is this true on how you took that approach?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I mean, I certainly have never, I don't have a coaching background. I don't have really an organizational background. I've always been on the player side of things. So a lot of this for me is new. And that's why I'm thankful to have Angela and Michael along for
Yes.
the ride. You know, because that's been hugely helpful to lean on them, and have them out supporting and helping this thing grow and making connections. But yeah, I mean, I think there is that passion. And I think, just personally, that my involvement in the sport did so much for me in my situation, that I just felt like I had to put myself out of my comfort zone and try to make this thing happen, just because I know how much it meant to me to have the sport available, and I'd love to be able to provide that opportunity for other people moving forward.
That is fantastic. Angela, and I'll start with Angela, then we'll go back to Michael. In your eyes, how the training session's been going since, now we progressed to this level? How have they been going? As you're there every time and do you see like these players acclimating to this? I mean, and of course, we're getting new players all the time.
Yeah, I think that's part of the challenge, actually, is like, when we do get new people, we're not really sure what level to expect out of them. And so it's been a fun challenge to come up with different session plans and different activities that you can introduce to somebody who's just barely new to the game, but you can also get the same out of it if you are a high level player and push yourself through the same drill. So kind of coming up with different different drills and skills that we can work on that is applicable to the very beginner to the high level athlete. I think we have a ton of volunteers that has been really helpful. And we've started to gear more towards, I guess, organizing them in a way that they're serving the athletes more so than just kind of trying out the game. In the beginning, we were using them more as just extra bodies to help, fill in numbers. You need bodies on the field. So when we don't have a ton of athletes in the beginning stages of this, it was helpful to have volunteers just help out on the field. But in our last session, I actually wasn't there, so I'll let Michael touch on this. But, I designed it a little bit more differently than we had before, to give the volunteers a little bit more of a distinct role, and focus more on the development of the skills of the athletes who are coming out to try it out.
Michael, in regards to the same question that I had addressed to Angela, how's this looking to you, these training sessions? What are your thoughts now, like leaning off Angela?
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, going off of what Angela said, I think it's like those beginning sessions, as you're building something, you don't want like the field to be empty or anything like that. So it's nice that you have volunteers that want to come out and support, and they play and they want to try out the sport. And kind of now as we're getting more athletes coming, new faces, more people coming consistently, now we're gearing like, okay, volunteers have a more specific role of trying to to help facilitate the training session versus just being like a body in the field to fill, like to help out. And they still do, like, we'll do scrimmages at the end, like even at the last session. That's kind of how the practice went. But I think, and I think we can all speak to this, just seeing like people come out and having fun, like enjoying their time, but also like improving their skills as they've been coming back each time. There was a new athlete that had come a couple training sessions ago, and just, she had never played the sport before. She's like a teenager. She came and she had never played the sport before, and at the last session, she was having a lot of questions about how to kick the ball, using the forearm crutches and such. And it was cool seeing Andrew, like, kind of like as the leader of the group, go in and like kind of speak to her and teach her, like, this is how you should, position yourself. This is how you should go about, kicking the ball, get the most power, get the most accuracy, whatever, however you want to put it. But I think that's been like a hugely rewarding part of it too.
Oh, sure, to get that out of that person. Andrew, I gotta ask you, most recently, the one with the Chicago Fire, the Chicago Fire player. How was that for them to see this? Was this player was actually out at one of the sessions, correct, Coach Andrew?
Yeah, that's right. Kellen Acosta with the Fire. He's been fairly involved with amputee soccer over the last few years, and recently was traded to the Chicago Fire, which I think for us was great. And he was kind enough to come out to our session last Friday, and I think obviously with a name like that and sort of the presence that he has in the soccer community, but just also just in general as one of the top players for the United States. I mean, the amount of exposure that can bring, that his presence, his ability to share photos and videos, from our session just helps to shine a light onto what we're trying to do. And, we're immensely thankful for the time that he gave. So, yeah. And then I think just also demonstrating that, like, soccer truly is a sport for everyone, regardless of your ability. And I think that's one of the cool things that we're doing now, is that when we do these scrimmages at the end of the practices, we've got able-bodied people. Some of them are playing, just as they would normally. Some are trying out crutches. We've got the amputees out there, and everyone's able to play the game together, which is pretty cool.
As the professional soccer player, I'm going to turn it on the table a little bit. As the professional soccer player, did you see in his eyes he was impressed?
I think so. I mean, I think there is, clearly his ability speaks for itself from a standpoint, but I think until you try firsthand to get onto forearm crutches and then try to move around and do something athletic like kick a ball or run. I don't know that you, even watching it, I don't know that you can appreciate just how challenging it is. And so I think that's one of the things that we like to do is give volunteers, and whether it's someone like Helen who comes out who's clearly a top level player, or just our volunteers who come out, give them an opportunity to pick up the crutches, try to move around, try to kick the ball. I think it gives everybody a really good firsthand experience of what it's like to try to play the sport.
Exactly. Angela and Michael, and Angela, I'll start with you. Were you two involved in getting the Chicago Fire player there? How did this happen? Because this is fantastic when I heard it.
This is 100% a question for Michael. I think this was all he's doing. Michael ran the idea by me, and I said, absolutely go for it. So I think Michael messaged him and had known that he was involved in amputee soccer, interested in the beginning. So I'm going to turn this over to Michael.
Okay. But how does this come about, Michael? Because this is huge. It's just like anything else, the baseball player, the hockey player, the basketball player. It's the player like right now that's on the Chicago Bulls. It would be like if DeMar DeRozan was there, correct?
Yeah, well, kind of how Andrew had alluded to, I know Kellyanne Acosta has, had history. He's been heavily involved in the amputee soccer community. And so I remember when I first saw that he had gotten traded to Chicago, I had sent a message to Andrew and Angela, and I just said oh, how cool would it be if we had Kellyanne Acosta to come out, just to propose the idea, it would be cool if we had him come out to one of our training sessions. And so as we were finalizing our summer schedule for, these upcoming months, or late spring, early summer, I had just, when I was making, I guess this is kind of the beauty of social media, is that I had just, as I had posted the story for one of the training sessions on Instagram, I just decided to tag him in the story. And from then he on his own just reshared it on his personal page. And then we just kind of started communicating from there. I just wrote on, said, thank you so much for sharing that. And then the conversation just kind of started from there. And then eventually, I said, he offered himself to want to drop by to one of the training sessions, and we were more than happy to have him, obviously. And it was a great experience
and I got to tell you, and if you guys want to disagree, in this day and age, to get the professional athlete to come out to something, or even just to respond, because I'm one that's always trying to get the professional athlete to come on my podcast, retired or local. It's hard. So that was huge. He had to really thought this through and says, okay, this is really something that I would like to do. So it had to be something. Angela, before I go back to Andrew, because I want to ask Andrew a couple of questions in regards to the coaching. What about this recognition? Are you familiar with the Block Club Chicago? What has gone on with that?
Yeah, they did a really great piece on us. I think it was 2 training sessions ago. They came out and took photos and interviewed a few of us. And again, it's similar to what you're doing. Anytime that we can get the word out and share our message about why we're doing what we're doing and how much we want to build this community, if we can get that out, we can build it even further. So to have that piece with them was fantastic. Any kind of recognition and publicity for us is good publicity.
And that's a huge recognition, correct? That's something for like that. I was just like, when I heard that too, I was like, wow, some of the bullet points that I had heard, I was like, this thing has really progressed. Want to get into something with Andrew for a little bit here. Andrew, now that you see, we're doing this it looks like it's every other Friday. You were saying to me before we went on.
Yeah, we picked up the frequency during the summer months to try to have a more consistent presence, and I think it's been working for us so far. So yeah, every other Friday.
So here's my question: as now the coach and the of course the experienced ex-soccer player, and now the coach, do you see the progression from the players that are, I mean, are you seeing, and are you getting the questions from them? Coach Andrew, what can I do to make my game better? What can I do to do this? Are you getting these questions from these players?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly been a progression, right? Like we didn't exist a year ago, so first we had to create our presence and get out there, and then convince people to trust us and give us a chance to come out. And then once they come out, you got to try to make it fun and enjoyable to try to get them to come back, right? But now we've got a core of 4 or 5 or 6 people that are coming consistently. And it's great. I mean, I think, you know, 3 of us have been messaging separately to try to find additional time outside our organized training sessions to try to get together and train. So I think, you know, we've definitely identified some players that are very passionate and really want to commit to doing more, which is great, because that's what it takes. I mean, obviously, as Michael talked about earlier, we want to be there for all levels of players, whether it's someone for the first time just looking to try something new, but also for players that want to really commit to it. But I think in order for this to grow, we need to have that core of people that are going to be there consistently, and so that there's always a presence out there. And then I think so that when there's newer people, there's a group of established players that people can see and say, hey, look, they're out there, they're doing it. They can give me pointers. They can talk about how you move on crutches, how you kick the ball, what works, what doesn't work. So yeah, I think it's definitely been great, and it's been great to find a handful of people so far that seem to be really interested in the sport and have really taken to it. So
last piece of this, and hope you don't give me a dirty look. We are seeing players, the players that are coming there they're not coming there to waste their time. Meaning, you know, I've had players in my life that went through the motions and wanted to play in the game. And I would say to them, the practice is the homework. The game is the test. You see these players want this, correct?
oh yeah, for sure. And again, I mean, I think we want to provide opportunities for everyone. So we
Sure.
certainly not making it sound like, hey, if you're not gung ho and looking to play and push yourself, that you're not welcome. That's not the case at all. But we're also certainly very happy to see a core group of people who really seem to have grown attached to the sport and really looking to put in the time, which is certainly from our perspective, you know, that's very exciting.
Michael Fiorante, you're on the hook now for this next question. Michael, the Chicago representation at the U.S. national team ID camps, your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's great. I know Andrew can kind of probably speak a little bit more to that since he's been at those ID camps. But I know, and obviously Andrew can correct me if I'm wrong. I know him and Mauricio and Ermin, you guys went to Atlanta, right, in Georgia for the Adapt and Thrive Invitational.
Yep.
So yeah, so I mean, I think in August, you know, of last year when we were first starting it,
Right.
to think that, you know, by now we'd have, you know, we have 3 players that, you know, have been coming on a consistent basis and are now going to national team camps, is kind of, it's amazing, you know. So it's really cool that you know, now Chicago is kind of coming on that stage of like, okay, yeah, we have athletes that are gonna come represent you know, Chicago and now represent our country in major tournaments and games. And I think that's something to be really proud of.
Yeah, I mean, to be on, and I like the word you used, the stage, you know, to be on that stage. Angela, your thoughts on the Chicago representation yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna add in for the women's side. We have another athlete who got added to the World Cup roster, which I believe is in September.
November.
November.
Okay, wrong ember. But yeah, we're super proud of all of our athletes that are representing Chicago and our nation. It's incredible to see them get this opportunity, and I know without a doubt that they are absolutely making the most of it.
You know, it's just, I find this amazing because you know, the word here tonight is progression. I would have never have thought that we were going to get to this point And again, the media coverage, and now just like the other day, I had mentioned to someone that I was going to do this again with Michael and Angela and Andrew, and they're like, John, how did you get involved in this? Well, when I did that first one, it was like nobody kind of, now people are like, how did you get them? They were on Channel 9. You know, they were on this, they were on that. How did you get this? Of course, I don't want to tell them that, you know, I got an in with Michael. You know, I want to play it cool, you know. But this has been amazing. So I guess I'm gonna go back to Michael and kind of go back up here to end it tonight with something, but I do want your really hard thoughts on this, not to be a one word or one sentence answer. Michael, in your heart of hearts, what would you, and it's the same question for all three of you, what would you like to see? What is next for this? I mean, where do you want to take this now? What are we expecting now during these summer months going into the fall?
Well, I think what's not, I mean, that's a big question. So, I think
Your hopes, your hopes.
yeah. No, I think
your goals. We should use that word. Yeah.
obviously we want to continue on the path that we're at. I think, now that there were a lot of bumps in the road in terms of getting like consistent field space and times and such to have training sessions. And so now that we have that going, obviously we want to continue on that path, going into the rest of the summer and then into the winter months. We're happy that Angela and I were able to speak to some of our ex-professors at Northwestern, and now as a part of the physical therapy program, the physical therapy students have to do like mandatory volunteer hours, and so now it's being offered to the students to work with Chicago Amputee Soccer Club, and so we're getting a lot of volunteers from there, which has been great. That will help us obviously continue and get to that next level of building that community, and then trying to expand and speak with other community partners within the Chicago area that want to help further the community as well. So I think those are the next steps, is just to continue to reach out to people, to other organizations that have similar missions and goals that wanna help, and just continue to expand.
Fantastic. In the eyes of an Angela Widlacki, what is she thinking? What the next goals? So what, because like you said, Angela, the progression has been unbelievable. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo a bunch of what Michael said. The reality right now is that if we take our foot off the gas, this is something that could fizzle out, and I would hate to see that happen. And so I think for the three of us, we're on the same page of let's just keep pushing, get the word out. My hopes are that we continue to see a consistent group come out, and then build on top of that, add another player, add some more consistency, and build it up to a team where we can compete regionally. In addition to having a more organized structure, not like Michael said, we're going to have a bunch more consistent volunteers. So in addition to athletes showing up consistently, having a consistent staff essentially, so that this organization can run really smoothly, and kind of run itself at some point. So like I said, we'll just keep rolling.
Yeah, keep rolling. I like your analogy too. Let's not take our foot off the gas pedal, because once you do, you're as good as that, what happened yesterday, if there's that cliche. As the coach, Andrew Paine, and and being about as a coach and the organizational part of it, Andrew, I'm sure you're setting goals in your mind every day with these players, let alone what goes on with Angela and Michael. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, we want to keep growing, and we want to get to the point where we have a critical mass, and we don't want to lose momentum. And I feel like we're at that critical juncture right now where we just have to keep pushing forward. But from an on-field perspective, I think, circling back to what you said earlier, sort of that difference between practice and playing, I think being out there practicing for all of these folks is great, but I think to truly appreciate the power of the sport, there's nothing like playing in a competitive game with a field full of amputees. And last year was the inaugural U.S. Amputee Cup, which was held in Columbus in late October. Hopefully I won't get in trouble. I don't know if they've formally announced it publicly, but there's going to be the second annual Amputee Cup in Boston this year in late October. And certainly my goal would be, I would love to have a full Chicago squad be able to travel out to Boston to represent Chicago, made up of Chicago players. I mean, that would be a dream come true. I think we're close. I don't know if we're fully there yet from a numbers perspective, but that, my personal goal, I think that would be amazing to see come October if we could field a team from Chicago and represent the city at the Cup out in Boston.
And this is a question for all three of you. Thank you for bringing that up, Andrew. What do we need? Do we need a number of players? Could there be how many players do we need to go to this Cup in Boston, this tournament in Boston?
Yeah, so we play with 7 on the field. So 6 field players and a goalie. Obviously, that's the bare minimum. Having a couple subs doesn't hurt because it's a tiring sport.
Sure.
The beautiful thing is that because there's regions in other areas, is that even if you don't get to a point where you can field a full team plus subs from one region, there's people like I was last year when we didn't have as many people in Chicago. I went to the Cup and played on a team from Colorado. So you're still able to go. But there's something I think powerful about being able to represent your city. And I think it would be fantastic for our organization to be able to, to advertise and show that we've gotten to a point where we have a full squad from Chicago, and be able to, get the promotion that would come out of the Cup, be able to advertise that on social media. And again, I think once the more the word gets out there, the more people see the sport being played, the more that they see that it's active in Chicago. I think that just draws more people to it. And they look at it and they say, hey, that looks pretty fun. I'd love to come out and give it a shot. So
it's an advertiser in itself. Exactly. Yeah. It's an advertiser. Angela Widlacki, closing remarks on the positive side, of course.
There's nothing but positivity to say here. I think we're on the right path and headed in the right direction. So if we keep doing what we're doing and connecting with the people we need to be, future is very bright for Chicago amputee soccer.
Fantastic, honey. Fantastic. Michael Fiorante, closing remarks.
I think just echoing everything that Andrew and Angela just said, keep pushing, keep going forward, and everything will come the way it's supposed to. Just gotta keep putting in the hard work and the passion that we all have for it, and yeah, it'll come to fruition. So.
And Coach Paine, your closing remarks.
Yeah, I'm thankful for Angela and Michael and all the hard work that they've put in to get this thing up and running, and it's not an easy task. And certainly when you're starting from scratch in an area, it takes a lot of work and dedication. So I certainly appreciate all the time that they've devoted to this, in addition to everything else they have going on personally, with their education and their work stuff. So I'm very thankful that we've partnered up to do this, and I'm excited for the future of Chicago amputee soccer. I think we're headed in a great spot. Some days I can't believe how far we've come in 10 short 11 months at this point. And that helps motivate me. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for this group.
Well, I got to tell you, my closing remarks on this. Here I'm, interviewing 3 of the organizational and the coaching part of it. This team right here that I interviewed tonight and the times I've interviewed before, just a fantastic camaraderie. You guys are together, and I can just see with the answers. There's a lot of passion here. If we were all in a room, I can see it on your faces too. If we're all in the same room here, you guys are all on the same page, and that is huge in anything we do. If it's the workplace, the sport place, anything we do, there has to be that team concept, because there's no I in team, win or lose, and there's that. And this is fantastic what you guys have done. Andrew Paine, Coach Andrew Paine, Angela Widlacki, and Michael Fiorante, the founders, along with Coach Paine, keep doing what you're doing, because this is fantastic. And I truly truly thank you for letting me do this. And I hope we can do another one because, again, here tonight, I learned a lot of the progression and how well this is done.
Thank you, John, for taking the time to speak with us. It means a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, John.
This was great. Everyone will get this out to everyone to see. And I truly thank you for tonight. Good night, everyone.
Knocked down, but I won't take no show. Up and I'm in the zone. Can't get high till you bend down low. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Don't wait up, I will not go slow. Not a copy, I'm original.